You know the drill. 3 friends, 2 countries, 1 unforgettable adventure. This is day 8 in Seoul. At this point, starting the day at a cafe had basically become our little ritual. So here we were at Idia Coffee. Mainly because there was a giant poster of Byeongbusok there. The marketing worked completely. I'm not proud of it. Moving on. We learned that Idia is the name of a local tribe in Ethiopia where coffee first originated. Cool facts. So here we were having our breakfast whilst I fangirled. Emily and Harrison went for pancakes and I got a cheese toastie. And I'm gonna say it, I think a ham and cheese toastie back home in England hits better. Is that controversial? Anyway, after breakfast we decided to explore Dongdaemun Design Plaza since it was close to where we were staying. Dongdaemun Design Plaza, or DDP, is one of Seoul's iconic landmarks. It's known for its futuristic curves, metallic architecture, and huge exhibition spaces. Honestly, it looked like something out of a sci-fi film. Inside, we came across a laser light exhibition which was mesmerizing to watch. Today, we wanted a slower-paced day with more low-key experiences, and this was just perfect for that. Beams of light bounced off mirrors and reflective surfaces, creating this almost hypnotic dance of color and movement. We stayed there for a while, just taking it all in. We continued to explore the area and its quirky designs, admiring the futuristic vibe and soaking in the creative energy of this place.
I don't know what's up and what's down, what's in and what's out, what's this all about? I don't know.
I didn't really know what these illustrations were about, but we picked some favorites to take pictures with for no reason. Surrounded by these installations and artistic choices, I found myself wondering what was going through the minds of the artists as they brought their creations to life. What inspired them, or what story they wanted complete strangers like us to take away from it. I've always loved how art can feel so personal to its creator, yet somehow still mean something completely different to everyone who experiences it. Some behind the scenes of this vertigo-inducing shot. As we left the building, we noticed the gift shop, and no experience is complete without going to the gift shop. So we had a little look-sees, didn't buy anything. There was a random collection of items, all artsy and quirky in their own way. From Dongdaemun, we made our way to Gwangjang district, where the War Memorial of Korea was. The neighborhood, or this particular road at least, made me feel like we'd travel back in time. The older buildings, the overhead cables, the vintage-looking shop signs, it all had this retro charm that I absolutely loved. And there was barely anyone there, which made it feel like we'd discovered some secret side of Seoul. We found a cafe to have a quick lunch and enjoyed the views over some pleasant conversation. A short walk away was the War Memorial of Korea, which was our next stop. I loved how Namsan Tower followed us everywhere we went. One of the first things we saw was the Statue of Brothers, a monument created to symbolize the pain and division caused by the Korean War. It shows an older South Korean soldier embracing his younger North Korean brother. The statues were poignant and brought on many thoughts for reflection. The Korean War between North and South Korea began in 1950 and lasted 3 years, with the United Nations, China, and the Soviet Union all getting involved. Millions lost their lives, and eventually an armistice was signed, and the Korean Demilitarized Zone, a heavily fortified border, still divides the peninsula today. Sadly, we found out that the museum was closed on Mondays. Harrison was looking forward to it the most, so that was tragic. But we still made the most of it, exploring the outside displays of military aircraft and tanks, which Harrison told us lots of facts about. Honestly, he was like a kid in a candy shop. A taxi ride away, we came to our next educational stop, the National Museum of Korea. And wow, this place was massive. It's actually the largest museum in Korea, housing over 400,000 historical artifacts spanning thousands of years of Korean history. We had the whole afternoon, so we spent ages wandering through the galleries, learning about ancient dynasties, admiring beautifully preserved paintings, ceramics, and calligraphy. This is a replica of the royal throne in Gyeongbokgung Palace, which we have visited before. This 10-story pagoda was a cool sight. I admired the effort that would have been needed to build it. One of my favorite bits was this section here, which reminded me of the hammocks we'd been seeing around Seoul, with their wooden beams, tiled roofs, and simple but thoughtful design. There's something calming about it. I found myself imagining what everyday life might have looked like back then, waking up to the sound of sliding wooden doors, sitting on warm floors in winter, sharing meals and stories, just a completely different pace of life from what we're used to now. Of course, the paintings were gorgeous. I would love to have something like this in my home. Another one of my favorite parts was seeing this collection of books, which I believe documented royal protocols, displayed in these illuminated rows. Isn't it just so beautiful? I do wonder sometimes what will be left of our time that will end up in museums of the future. The outside of the museum was equally as nice and quite peaceful. Again, that contrast between old and new was mesmerising. By evening, we were ready for food, so naturally we headed to Gwangjang Market, one of Seoul's oldest traditional markets, dating back to 1905 and famous for its street food and Korean delicacies. Although, I'm not gonna lie, after walking around for a while, it felt like every store was selling the same thing. And since we were trying to avoid anything raw or anything too adventurous, we spent a good amount of time just walking up and down, pretending we knew what we were doing. A food tour guide would have been helpful. Eventually, we settled on a mung bean pancake and a seafood pancake, freshly fried in front of us. They were nice. Crispy on the outside, soft on the inside, but definitely more mild than I expected. More of a snack than a full dinner, if I'm honest. So, the food hunt continued. We passed a chicken stall that looked very tempting, almost gave in, but somehow kept walking. Still hungry, we eventually found this pork and cheese pancake. We also grabbed some dumplings on the way out, and of course picked up some banana milk from a nearby convenience store, which is the best drink if you ever visit South Korea. Armed with our random collection of food, we decided to eat by the Cheonggyecheon stream, which is a 11-kilometer stream that runs through downtown Seoul. What I didn't realize at the time was just how much history this place holds. Back in the Joseon dynasty, it originally served as part of the city's drainage and flood control system. After the Korean War, refugee communities began settling along its banks, and as Seoul rapidly grew, the stream became overcrowded and heavily polluted. By the late 1950s, it was gradually covered over with concrete and even a highway. Then, in the early 2000s, the city completely restored it into the peaceful spot it is today, which honestly made sitting there feel even more special, knowing how many different versions of this place has existed over the years. Anyways, we had a relaxing walk back home, completely exhausted, and crashed early because tomorrow was travel day, because we are going to Jeju Island. See you there.